Hello.
And you need to share your screen. You should probably keep your sound off. Yeah, it's not picking you up. I have 6:30 now, so I'm going to start the webinar.
Let me go check.
Please enter the meeting password followed by pound.
Keep with his on. One of them has something here, another one has.
Hi, can you all hear us?
I can hear you.
Leonette Lopez,
Here.
thank you. Maybe if you turn off, leave your microphone on, but turn off your sound. This, we're getting an echo from it. Leonette, you are here, but you don't count towards the quorum. John Johnson.
Sorry,
here.
you broke up.
John, Leonette, you're here, but you don't count as towards the quorum.
I'm here.
John, thank you. You're here, you don't count towards the quorum. Marion Melman. Maria Rota. John Santori. Elise Shook. Thank you. Antoinette. Roll has been called. There is no quorum.
Okay. Just want to confirm, folks on the line, you can hear us, right? I don't think they can.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you? All right, so on the screen here, I have the agenda. Again, I don't expect for today's meeting to be too long. But did want to go around and do a quick introduction. We'll give the floor first to folks that are joining in virtually. So just gonna call on your name, and if you can unmute yourself and just, introduce yourself. You're more than welcome to share whatever you'd like. Let's see, Richard Hodor. No, sorry, if I butchered your last name.
Hi, yes, I'm here, present. Very hard to understand what you're saying, but this is my first housing meeting, so I'm here to listen and learn.
John Johnston.
Hi, everyone. I'm John. I'm from Windsor Terrace.
Leonette Lopez.
Hi, everyone. Leonette Lopez from Sunset Park, born and raised. Been on the community board for about a year now. I'm looking forward to getting more involved with the housing committee. So thank you.
Thank you. And then we have two attendees, Eduardo Jimenez.
Hello, hi, good afternoon, good evening. Jesus Eduardo here, Sunset Park resident, and then just tuning in to learn and listen, to listen and learn. Thank you.
Okay, and there's someone else that joined in with phone number ending in 4984. You're more than welcome to introduce yourself if you'd like. Okay, no problem. All right, and then let's work
Hi,
on.
this is John Santor, if you can hear me.
Hi, John, we could hear you.
Okay, thank you. I'll be listening in as well.
Okay, great. So let's just go around and see everyone quickly introduce yourself.
Sure. Hey, everybody. First time meeting all everyone here. I've been on the community board for a couple of months now, maybe 3 months. So I'm super excited to kind of meet everyone in person. And my name is Alberto. I am also a resident and a business owner. Sorry, committee member. Thank you for that correction.
My name is Gabino Morales Camilla. Recently joined the board membership. I'm on not on the housing committee, but I am involved to see what's going on for the housing committee and every other committee that's going on. As a board member, I think we have the responsibility to know what's going on in each committee. So my name is Gabino Morales Camilla. I've been here living for 28 years of my life and seeing Sunset Park grow as our district is improving and expanding. I want to include everybody, make sure everybody's voices are heard. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Doris Astol. I'm born and raised in Sunset Park, and I'm here to see how we move forward in making the area better for everyone.
Cynthia Gonzalez, also born and raised in Sunset Park and a member of the community board for more than 2 decades.
Hello, Daniel.
Okay, great. Hi everyone, I'm Antoinette Martinez, and I'm really excited to, I guess, build with you all and really work and making sure that we don't waste time over the summer and try to tackle things and move things along. So really appreciate you joining us on a Thursday evening. And I'll just jump right into things. So I sent around a poll. I'm not sure if everyone went ahead and was able to complete it, but we did get 12 responses. The poll went out to everyone that's on the board. Just because I think Julio is still finalizing and making assignments to each of the committees. So I made it on Google Forms and you can export it into Excel. So just to backtrack a little bit, there were six topics that were sent out, and these were really shared by public members of the committee. And then we also got a number of suggestions of other topics to move forward with. But what we'll focus on are the 6 topics that we voted on, and then we can save those other topics for the open discussion portion of the meeting. So there were 5 agenda topics, and one of them was to have sort of like a meet and greet for the housing committee over the summer.
Sorry, is that the live feed that's on YouTube? Because that's not what's supposed to be showing. Is that the live? Is that what's showing on YouTube?
Yep.
So your screen is not showing if that's what you wanted.
That was.
So that way
Is it pinned?
No, it's me. I thought. Yeah, I'll do that.
No worries.
So this was the poll. One of the. All right, sorry about that. Thank you very much. One of the questions was for us to meet over the summer, and there were a bunch of people that responded to that. So I'm going to keep that one for like an extra bonus. We could talk about setting something up maybe like first week of August. I can send out a poll to see if folks are interested in not interested in that, but just setting up a date for the summer so we can hash that out. We could either have a picnic like in Sunset Park or in Bush Terminal Park, just something informal for folks in the housing committee, and we can open it up to the whole board and the public and just meet for a couple of hours and get to know each other. So I'm gonna scratch that out so we can focus on the 5 meeting topics. So just to backtrack a little bit, the first agenda topic that was sent down the poll, that was number 1, was the committee should contact the developer behind 4919 4th Avenue and the church officials who sold the property and ask them to appear before the committee to discuss the project and the sale. Then the second was the committee should contact the 5th Avenue committee and ask them to present on the economics behind both of their Sunset Park affordable housing projects. The third was the committee should consider a resolution calling on CB7 to explore the creation of community land trusts within the district. Number 4, the committee should contact Totem, which is a developer, the 5th Avenue Committee, South Brooklyn Industrial Development Corporation, and Brooklyn Workforce Initiative to ask them to provide an update on the 737 4th Avenue development. And the 5th one was the committee should send a letter to Mayor the mayor's office opposing Mayor Eric Adams' attempt to suspend the city's right to shelter law. Then the last was the meet and greet for the summer. So I have the poll results here. And it looks like the top one was the committee should consider a resolution calling on CB7 to explore the creation of community land trust within the district. So that was number one. Came in second, the committee should send a letter to the mayor opposing the mayor's attempt to suspend the right to shelter law. That came in second. And third was the summer get together. And then third was the committee should contact Totem and a bunch of other organizations regarding an update on the 737 4th Avenue project. That came in third. And then next was the 4919 4th Avenue development. And then tied with the picnic was an update from the 5th Avenue committee. So just want to have an open conversation about, it looks like folks are really interested in starting a conversation about community land trust in the neighborhood. If that's something that we want to explore and tackle over the summer, just trying to think what that would look like and how we can move forward in organizing, like a first meeting, a first conversation, and what our objective would be. I guess that would, and I'm really curious to hear about you all. I think for me, that one is a little bit of the hardest one to try to tackle because it seems like there'll be a lot of moving parts. For the other items that were proposed, it would be just logistically a little simpler because we can reach out to the 5th Avenue committee or the different developers and request a meeting and then have that set up. So in terms of just prioritizing the community land trust, it came in first. So if we want to move forward with that one, just thinking about what that would look like. And if we want to dedicate the whole summer to like a summer series on exploring that. I'm just really curious on what folks think. And then let me just look at the chat. So if anyone who's joined in virtually, if you'd like to join in on the conversation, just raise your hand. I'm gonna limit the conversation for this portion to about 10 minutes. That way we can move on to the next agenda item. Does anybody wanna go first? Yes.
So we need to, I don't know if we can do that.
Okay.
We're a government agency, not a not-for-profit.
Mhm.
I would really suggest reaching out to the council to speak to whether or not it's even possible for a community board.
Not so much organizing it, but more so having just conversation.
Education.
Yeah, education.
Yeah.
What was this to do? What again? That you're going on? Pardon me, what was this again? To do that we can't, well, we can't do, I'm sorry.
So this is something that's not a profit.
Yeah, so we wouldn't be able to start a community land trust,
Correct.
right? But we can hold educational, like,
We had a discussion in the past, we had someone talk to us at a previous meeting about the trust.
I think a good first step would be to maybe reach out to
okay.
Yeah.
Then,
I remember that was fine.
and
I
maybe
understand that.
schedule. Do you want that information?
Okay.
And that part, I think that would be facing out of the long hours.
Yeah. I agree.
Sorry, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing folks who aren't close to the laptop. I don't know, Antoinette, if you don't mind just repeating what's being said, or that would take too much time.
Yeah, Jeremy, could we unplug your
Yeah.
and just bring it a little closer?
Let's pay attention.
You know, that's the same thing with laptops. My laptop.
Do you want to repeat the message?
And everybody just remember to speak up.
Sorry that I didn't speak more loudly. So there's this organization called, pronounced nicely, New York City Community Land Initiative, I believe. And Antoinette had graciously reached out to them, and we had a session with them a month or so ago, and they were receptive to meeting with us in the future. There's a woman there named Elise Holden. So my suggestion was maybe reaching out to her and seeing if she would be willing to meet with us in person to provide guidance on community engagement strategies.
Yeah, and for those who were not part of that initial meeting, we did have a previous committee meeting, and nicely the organization did do a presentation, which was really helpful for all of us. I think we all learned a lot from the presentation, those who attended. So just to reiterate everyone's point, I think it'll be really helpful for those who are just joining the call who may not know about the land trust, as well as those of us who just want a little bit more information on it.
Documents onto the website.
Yes.
So we do have a number of PowerPoints that were shared during that conversation that can be distributed to and accessible to the public. Does anybody else in the room want to?
Hi, everybody, guys. My name is Gabino Morales. I do serve on several committees on CB7. I'm fairly new on the board, but whatever I want to bring to here is that whatever we bring up to this board, that we make sure all the agencies come up to us first for our community. They make sure they come up to us first, whatever they want to put into our community, whatever they're proposing for our community, whatever they design for our community, whatever they want to do for our community, they come to us first, okay? So we make sure that because we're the first ones on the front lines that speak to members of our community. We're the ones that speak directly to people who live in and around our neighborhood, our neighbors, for everybody, and just making sure that we are here, everybody here hearing us out, that we're making sure that we get your interest in hand, and we're definitely gonna be on top of everything that's going on, especially housing and everything else that's going on. So thank you very much, guys, everybody who's hearing us out. But we're gonna be on top of things, and we're just making sure everything that comes through our community, we're making sure that they go through us first. Okay, thank you.
Great. Jeremy, I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, hey, sorry, I'm in the playground with my kids, but I just wanted to say, I think what would be interesting about CLTs is that we actually have a couple organizations in Sunset Park that are interested in forming CLTs. So I think it would be actually worthwhile for us to kind of, I don't know if it's a conversation, town hall or something, but there's like a Sunset Park Families United group that's been trying to start a CLT. They're a cooperative, and they're trying to branch out into CLTs. And so it'd be interesting to sort of like, and I could help sort of think about who else is working on this, but try to bring in people who are already on the ground, like trying to formulate. I think some of especially for the Sunset Park Families United, their main issue has been they've been trying to become a formalized nonprofit. But I think also there were other conversations I know that Alexa Aviles was having with other groups around CLTs too. And that I think was related to Trinity Lutheran. But yeah, I think it's worthwhile to feel like try to suss out who else is working on this stuff to really engage people if we're interested in trying to do that.
Okay, and CLT stands for Community Land Trust. And Sylvia, thank you for joining. we have an email list for everyone who joined today.
Everybody has to.
Okay, so everyone who joined today's webinar, we have your email address, so we'll be able to send over the PowerPoint presentation that was circulated at that last meeting. So don't worry, you'll get it. And does anyone else that's joined virtually would like to comment on this part of the agenda? Or the community land trust conversation? Raise your hand. Okay, Eduardo?
Yeah, hi, Antoinette. In regards to what was mentioned by another community member, Jeremy, is there any way that there could be like, is there like any centralized place where we can get information of any working, current working group that is trying to create a CLT in the community?
The community board does, we don't have a listing of that. Typically, from what I understand, they're a nonprofit organization.
I'm sorry, I can't hear Antoinette.
Can you hear me now?
No, you sound like distant. More, maybe it needs to be more direct towards you.
Did I join from my phone?
No, nobody else has a microphone on. Yeah, all right, just try it again, speaker.
Yeah, from my understanding, the community board doesn't collect that information of folks in the community that are interested in starting nonprofits. We currently don't have a collection of that. Would we?
I don't know.
Yeah, right. You know, folks aren't, what's the word?
Required.
They're not, right, they're not required to let us know. So if they're working to form a community land trust on their own, you know, we're only limited to, you know, if other folks on the board know about it, then we would know, but we don't currently have a working list of that.
All right, so it sounds that it would really be up to like, I guess these working groups to reach out to CB7 so that they can work in conjunction, right? So that they can, then there could be like more shared information or more transparency of like who might be creating. Because
Yeah,
then, you know,
Mhm.
because my interest, right, is as a community member who would also like to be part of that CLT creation and stuff like that, is also to learn within, you know, community members that are trying to do, you know, such a thing and stuff like that. So I think it would be helpful to have that information in one place. So then as you know, so then as a community member, I can then find ways to plug in with other people that might already be within that process and stuff like that, in the event that CB7 doesn't pick up the ball, so to speak. But yeah, understood, Antoinette. Thank you.
Sure. I'm just gonna go. Thank you, Eduardo. I'm gonna go over to Leonette and then we'll move over here. Leonette?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm in complete agreement. I think it would be really interesting to be able to Jeremy's point, understand like who's doing it with the resources that are available, and the connections that we do have to see who's working on it and figure out, you know, what does that process look like, and kind of have that education in our community, because I don't think a lot of, you know, our community knows about this as an option. So I think this would be a good thing to work on over the summer.
Yeah, I just wanted to just touch base on that point. If anyone has any contacts with these organizations, our meetings are public. You know, we do a great job at posting them on Instagram. These links they can register for and share, so anyone can join essentially these calls. So if you have any contacts with any of these organizations that you'd like them to join any of our public calls, you can do so. I'm assuming so, right? Because it's a public call. So that one might be a great idea, because they might be able to provide a little bit more feedback, and kind of like fill in the gaps of what we may not know as a community board, or may answer any additional questions that any one of us might have, or any of you might have as well.
Yeah. And I would like to just really quickly take a few minutes just to talk about this, is our role as a community board in helping any groups that are invested in starting a CLT in the community board. Like, what is our goal? You know, this summer, we're going to take the time, we're going to be fully devoted to this, but you know, we're limited in what we can do. A lot of these groups, they need help in, you know, starting a nonprofit. Maybe they need, you know, financial assistance. Maybe, you know, we just need to do a little brainstorming and think about like what education workshops we can host for them. But I think we have to keep in mind that, you know, we can't get involved in starting a nonprofit ourselves. Right. We can only provide help from an education standpoint. Sorry, I'm getting confused with your laptop and mine. All right, let me see. Anyone else wants to comment? Sure.
Could I comment?
Oh, sorry. The last one.
Let me just say something. So we are the blood vessel towards letting whatever you guys let us know towards the city council, to whoever the government officials has to be notified to what we have to do. Okay, so we're gonna make sure that whatever you guys let us know, that we make sure that we bring this information from our community to whoever needs to know, you know. So we have the years, you know, this is our job. Whoever has the years and who has to know what you guys have to let us know. We're gonna make sure that the information is passed from here to there. And this is our information, that this is what we do, this is our job. So we're making sure whatever agencies has to know what you guys gotta tell us, you know, basically, whatever you guys tell us, we just gotta let them know. The agencies, we pull the strings for them, make sure they do what we say. If they don't do that, then, you know, it's gonna be out there. You guys are gonna know. But we tried in the community board, I think so. We try our best, and just let us know anything you guys gotta let us know about, that we gotta let agencies know about, or city council members know. We are that vessel for you guys, for everybody here in the community. So just let us know what you guys gotta let us know, and we'll try to bring that forward to our city council members and anybody who has to know that. Okay, and just trust us. Okay, thank you.
That was it? Elise, did you want to tell me?
Yeah, so it seems like there could be two next steps. One could be to send an email to Elise Golden, seeing if she's willing to reach out to her folks and meet us in Sunset Park, or figuring out a time frame for that. And then I had a question for Jeremy. He's still there. Would you be, Jeremy, are you still in the meeting? Jeremy Kaplan?
Yes, yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Would you be willing to reach out to these Sunset Park Families United and Trinity Lutheran to see if they would be receptive to kind of meeting in person?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I haven't really gotten an update from them in a while about where their progress is. So it might be even interesting to meet up, sort of here, get a rundown of what they're up to. And yeah, and then you could see how the community board can help support what they're working on.
All right, great. So it looks like For the summer, what we're going to focus on are our meetings on community land trust. We're going to reach out to New York City Community Land Trust Initiative, Elise Goldman, for information on strategies for community engagement. And then we're going to work with Jeremy Kaplan to get in contact with some local folks that are interested in starting community land trust and trying to find out from them what education pieces we can help provide, and then using that for next steps. Elise, would you like to reach out to Elise Goldman? Come to a meeting and sort of have an open conversation on community engagement strategies. You'll be able to help follow up with Sunset Park United Families. Sorry, I butchered their name. Jeremy Kaplan.
Yes, yep.
Thank you. I'm gonna jot you down here to follow up with. Another thing to keep in mind is when we're hosting these meetings, we probably want to have them in different languages. That way we can be more inclusive. So we'll just have to be receptive to that and think about how we're going to organize that, especially in a hybrid setting. Okay, so that's the, those are the two things I have for now. Next week is already July. And then I'll send out a poll to folks to see when people might be available for a summer picnic. And then we can see if folks would prefer to meet in Sunset Park or Bush Terminal Park. And we'll aim to do that sometime in August, just to give us some time to prep. I think for our next meeting, once we hear back from Elise Goldman, even if they're not available to attend in person, if they have any information that they could provide on community engagement strategies, then we can take that as a next step and we can meet to sort of flesh that out. So do we want to say that we'll meet again? Yeah, it's June 29th. Do we want to meet the week of July 10th just to catch up on this so that we can work on either hosting a larger town hall for the community or several education workshops? Okay, so I'll reach out to Community Board 7 tomorrow to see what dates are available that week.
Usually.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, perfect. All right, so we have a tentative hold for July 12th. That's a Wednesday at 6:30. So hopefully we'll have a response then from the local community land trust groups and from Elise Goldman. And, you know, just to see like where are their pain points and how we can help to, you know, be like the medium to help bridge any gaps that they might have. And let me just check the chat, see some folks.
Also, I think that YouTube has an ability to close caption in the language that people want.
So that's only if you provide the
That's
Okay.
only if we provide the translation.
Yeah, we have to. We had a meeting.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I remember when I did, no, I remember when I was on the last meeting, I hit closed caption in Spanish from YouTube on my end. This was when we were full, it wasn't a hybrid, it was full, it was on YouTube. I was watching it on YouTube. I'm sorry, correction, that was on Zoom. That was on Zoom, allowed me to hit closed caption and it popped up in Spanish. And I think someone switched it to closed caption in English. Because I put it in closed caption in Spanish.
It'll need to be, for these meetings, it'll need to be a little bit more because I think one of the CLTs that Jeremy mentioned, they're a group of families, but they predominantly are Spanish speaking. So we'll need to be able to engage with them in case they have any questions, you know?
That makes sense.
So it'll be a little bit more of a
Oh,
heavy
there's,
lift.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
you're gonna- And that is kind of. Putting it out there if anyone is a translator.
Yeah.
I could volunteer.
Yes.
That's from Spanish to English.
Eduardo, your hand is raised.
Yeah, internet. So, in connection to the CLT conversation, I feel that, based on the information that was given during the presentation, right, the creation of CLTs is a very long process. From what I remember, and then don't quote me on this, but more or less, I think it requires for any working nonprofit to be existing for 2 years so that it can then sort of like acquire any available resources or grants, I think, for the creation of a CLT to support any organization that wants to do such a thing. And then in addition to that, then it requires another 3 or 4 years of extensive conversation of interested parties in creating a CLT. I think that the creation of CLT is important when there is a collective agreement that this is the housing development that the community would like to prioritize over for-profit development. And so then this also then, can connect, to how certain, I guess, rezoning proposals are put into the table, and then I guess fellow committee members can then basically go, with certain agreements of like, before we look into, accepting any rezoning proposals, we highly encourage for there to be a large, extensive conversation of how a CLT can be created and any property, that such proposal is being presented on. And so then with that being said, is there any way that one can organize for there to be a collective agreement of the community, from the community board membership, that this is a housing development, this is the kind of housing development that the I guess that the committee members are more in support of over any other kind of housing development being presented?
Yeah, I feel if folks wanted to pass a resolution on that, we're more than welcome to have a conversation on that. I think we also need to have a conversation about just different city initiatives that the mayor's office and the Brooklyn Borough President that they're working on, because that would, like there's a lot of work going on in the background that I'm not necessarily too well versed on myself. But I know the mayor's office, there's the city of Yas, and I know that Reynoso's office, they're pushing some other things. I think that, you never know when a rezoning is going, when it's going to hit, but I think the more on guard we are for these things, the better. But yeah, if we wanted to pass a resolution on that, that's for the committee to decide.
Internet.
But we can't tonight because we don't have a quorum. And also we have to recognize just that it's, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's a long process for for the Community Land Trust to get started.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I mean, we can also work with inviting Alexa Vila's, her office to come in and join in this conversation. And that would be a deeper conversation about, okay, like what's coming down in the pipe that you might know about, and, what are some strategies that we can do as a committee to help, educate the community. But that's moving away from the community land trust. That's like an extra part. So, I just wanted to have this meeting to sort of figure out what our next steps are, because we can go in a million different routes. There's a lot going on. And, just one step at a time. I'll jot that down. you know, and I can reach out to elections office to see like if they have any information on CLCs or other developments and how, you know, we can work to educate the community on like City of Yes or other proposals, but that's sort of, I think, second to this, because that's what a majority of people voted on and prioritized.
Yeah, understood, Antoinette. And I just want to sort of like add another thing. So it was interesting, and then it was very helpful, right, to kind of like have the CLT conversation and then followed up by the social housing panel conversation of, I guess, in the meeting that was scheduled on June 1st. And so then I just kind of want to sort of like leave it out there for any members currently sitting in the committee, that what does it mean to create anti-capitalistic housing, you know? And so then how do we create it? And then what does it mean to support it? And so with that being said, I think that with luxury development, it creates gentrification, it creates displacement of family, it creates disadvantages, right? Economic disadvantages for people that are, you know, sort of like put in the process of like having to move because they can't afford, you know, living in a community that they've been invested for the past 30 or 40 years. And so then I think that it's important, right, that in order for these things to work, that there is, you know, collective agreements from any government, representatives, right, representing, you know, like the interest of the community. So thank you for your work, and appreciate for all the further insight. And then one more thing, John asked how he would be able to comment. I'm not sure if by voice or by writing.
John, can you unmute your line? All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to say, I mean, I definitely support talking about CLTs and looking into organizations that are trying to form CLTs. I also think something worthwhile is to look for and discuss properties in the neighborhood that might be conducive to CLTs. So I and some other people have been doing a survey. We can certainly talk about, you know, how that could be done, but there are a lot of vacant lots in the neighborhood. There are vacant lots that are owned by the city. There are abandoned properties. There are lots of underused spaces. So I think it would be very worthwhile to try to figure out which of these spaces could be explored to host a CLT. I don't know how people would like to engage in that conversation, but I think that's another thing we could look into, because we're often told that there isn't available land in Sunset Park for new housing development. And while it's true that there isn't a ton of publicly available land or publicly controlled land, although there are a lot of spaces that could be explored. So I think that's another thing we could look into. And yeah, that's my comment on CLTs. I have another general comment, but I'll pause there.
Okay, thank you, John. Just one quick question. So Jeremy, if we did have a meeting and we were able to identify vacant lots in the community, we wouldn't be able to act on any of that as a board, but it could be informational for the community so that if anyone were interested in starting a nonprofit or.
So nothing prevents us from collecting data.
Right. Okay.
I think that's a yeah.
Sure.
Are we proposing July 12th at 6:30 p.m.?
Not yet.
as the time?
Not yet.
No.
We got to check with the library to see if the
Okay.
space is available.
Our next question is was that John that was just speaking? Hey, John, I think that, is there a way, or can we add your list to our agenda so we can take a look at it on our next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, I don't even know how to go on. Okay.
Okay, all right, so So far what we have is a proposed tentative date to meet next, not in 2 weeks, on Wednesday, July 12th. I'm gonna reach out and follow up with the community board tomorrow just to confirm. And then once the meeting is finalized, everyone will get an invite. At that meeting, we're going to take a deeper dive and sort of flesh out what, whether it's a town hall that we want to schedule, if it's a series of educationals. But at that meeting, we'll do more of dissecting things a bit, and then maybe we could break out into groups. So if we decide to have a series of 3 meetings, then maybe one group could work together to flesh out one meeting, and we could just divide and conquer that way, and we can all just contribute and try to set up the logistics for everything. And then I'll also follow up with folks about having a summer picnic so we can all meet. But that's all I had. I know that there were also some other topics that came up as on that poll. I'll hold those, and then when I guess we'll have another meeting before the end of the summer so that we can flesh out meetings for the fall, and we could, have in those topics. And then maybe if we just want to have a meeting where we just look at different things that's happening in the community and just have like a really just like honest conversation, and there's just so much going on.
Yeah, I have 2 up there.
Yeah. Sorry, Jeremy.
Antoinette, I have. Yeah.
Sorry, John. Jeremy Lawfer is just gonna comment.
So I just wanted to give 2 updates, and Antoinette, I sent you emails on both of them, I think after 3:30 today. The first is, if you remember, we had a meeting a couple of months ago, which included the Sanitation Environment Committee about 179 22nd Street regarding the environmental cleanup. We got notice today that that is going to start at the end of July. So 179 22nd, that project is moving forward. The other, it was an article in yesterday's The City, which I sent to you, Antoinette, regarding the Glow Hotel and the not-for-profit that's running the migrant shelter there. We have no relationship with them. They are not-for-profit from the South Bronx, according to the article. The head of that not-for-profit hired his friends and relatives to work there. And apparently one of them, according to the residents, has been sexually harassing the women. And they did not follow through and report this to the city. So there seems to be some real issues with the Glow Hotel migrant shelter. I would refer everybody to the article from the city yesterday.
Thank you, John. John, you had a question?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to ask. So there were other, as you said, there were other things on the list of topics, and I understand that the CLT option was number 1 in priorities, and I agree it should definitely be a priority. But I think it would be extremely beneficial for us to talk with each other about some of those other priorities or some of those other ideas, because I don't know how familiar people are with different things that are going on. I would really like to hear what other board members are prioritizing in their minds, what they want to learn about. I would like to share some information I have and that other people have regarding some of these other ideas. So if we're not going to do that in this meeting, can we make time at the next meeting to discuss some of these other things? Because I think maybe if we have more of a discussion in real time, people might come to some conclusions about what else they want the committee focusing on. I just, in all things, and my goal is always to try to increase discussion both during meetings and then to try to encourage some sort of information sharing in between meetings so we don't go long periods without talking to each other. So
right, thank you. And there's so much going on. So that was really the point of this meeting and the goal, just to try to prioritize things and focus things a bit. What we're going to do is focus on what folks, what they prioritize and rank as the priority. And then we're going to have a separate meeting where we're going to discuss those other topics. Before the next meeting, we're going to flesh out how we can work and have educational workshops focusing on the community land. There's a lot of things going on, and we just want to make sure that we're like moving forward and tackling things. And then, I want us to just stay on track and focus. Once we hash out these, then we can tackle the next thing.
Yeah, can I just ask one question, Antoinette, about that? Were people familiar with the other topics? So are people on the committee? I'm sorry, I don't know who's attending the meeting right now, but are people familiar with what is happening at 49th and 4th? Are they familiar with 737 4th Avenue? Do they know about the 5th Avenue Committee's development projects? Did they have information about that gave them context for those proposals? Or were they lacking in information? I don't know the answer to that. That's just an open question.
Yeah, honestly, John, there's just and this is true for everyone. There's just a lot of different things going on. If folks want to move forward and have and just devote time instead of taking a deeper dive and hashing out a summer of meetings focusing on community land trust. If instead you want to have a meeting on July 12th, looking at the other agenda topics, we can do that. It was just kind of hard for us to even meet today because we can only meet if we had a room, and I don't want the whole summer to go by and then we have no meetings with the public. I want the summer's gonna go by quick. If folks said that they were interested in this and they want to jump forward with it, then my personal point is I don't want to waste time, wait 2 weeks, have another meeting, and then have to wait another 2 weeks to actually.
Sure. So I think that what would be a good idea would kind of be just a little bit of both. I think that there is a lot going on. There's a lot of things, a lot of information to absorb. And to John's point, there were a lot of things that I didn't know about, 179 22nd Street that I had to just Google and figure out myself. So I think that we should probably try to resolve things that are a little bit easier so that we can push the ball forward and also incorporate some of the long-term goals like the land trust. It seems like a lot of people on the call land trusts they're very lengthy. A lot of things, there's a lot of moving parts, and to even get one done or just have people to speak on it is quite challenging. So I think that if we can somehow focus on smaller goals that we can achieve and say, yay, we did this from, with the smaller goals, and then add, these larger goals into the overall scope of what we do as a committee, I think would be really, really helpful. So maybe if we can tackle some of these agenda items that might be easier for us to kind of push through, and also to get resolutions on. We need a quorum. I didn't even know that these hybrid meetings, until a couple of days ago, that we needed to be here in order to move, in order to push a quorum. So then we also have committee members who were not able to attend due to the last minute. But, we can't do this via Zoom now. So that also makes a difference too, because now we all have to make sure that we are here in order so that if we all do decide to go to a resolution, we need to have a quorum. Right?
John, you have a point to what you're talking about. So as a committee member, as a board member, we do have the responsibility of reading and going over through all the overview of what committee minutes has gone through, right? So so to your point, where you're saying that where we have to pay attention to what everything's going on around us. Yes, as a board member, we have that responsibility to make sure that we, go back to the YouTube minutes. We go to YouTube, read the minutes over, read the translations, go through the script, and make sure when we do vote on stuff that we go through, make sure we know what we're voting for. But as a board member, we have that big responsibility to go through all that information, and hopefully, we're all here for a reason, making sure that we make sure that that gets done. And yes, I did go through all the reading and all the YouTube minutes and everything like that. I take this responsibility seriously. I know there's been vacancies in several committees, and I've been wanting to, been wanting to work on different committees that have been vacant for some time. That's been critical for our community. There's but it just depends on how the structure works. And if anything, we do receive that information, it's going to be up to each community board member that we go through all the information that we have to go through, if we care about the community, right? And make sure that things get done. So there are a lot of vacancies, and I know that I do live by the waterfront, the waterfront. So I'm not a couple of blocks away from there, and I know there's a huge industry going, through there. I lived there all my life, and I want to make sure I take charge too for what's going on over there, not just by talking, voting, or whatever, but we have to be there, making sure we speak to the people that that might have the people we need to speak to, the people we need to meet with, people that they have to speak to us for, if they want to put something there, they want to change stuff up. But it's gonna change our community in the long run, and we have to be there. We're the first ones on the front lines as a community board, committee members, community board member. But we're there. So I'm reading everything that's going on, and I know all our community members and community board members are doing our job as much as possible that we can. There's a lot of vacancies going on, but we're making sure that we're on top of things, okay? And Johnson Tory, thank you very much for bringing stuff up like that. That we're ensuring that everything's has to get done. Thank you for the community.
Pat, if you can unmute your line.
Hi, thank you for recognizing me, and I'm sorry that I couldn't be there in person. And as such, someone who can't be there in person, I know that getting the boardroom or the library can be difficult, but today trying to listen to this was very, very difficult. I can hear the folks on the phone, but hearing you guys in the room was not easy. So I know I missed a lot, and I'll probably have to go back and read the minutes, etc. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention for future meetings. Try to make sure that those who are watching hybrid can hear what's going on, because everything that you're saying, I know is important, and I know that I missed some stuff. So that's just a comment that I wanted to bring to the table. Thank you. And again, I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I appreciate being able to listen.
Thank you, Pat. Did you? I'm just gonna limit comments to 2 minutes.
I just wanted to mention the fact that when we're looking at vacant lots, it's, we can't assume that these lots are public land. That's number one. A lot of these lots are privately owned, and just sitting there because the owner doesn't want to do anything with them, maybe just write off something or whatever. But when you're dealing with housing development, you need, if we're not housing development per se, affordable housing development. Most affordable housing development has subsidies, and they have people that come in and they are investors in the property. They put up money, they get tax breaks, whatever. But in order for these developments to be approved by either the subsidizing agency, whether it's HPD, DHCR, whoever it is, that is the governing agency for the project or whatever, they have to be a certain size for it to be economically physical for them to put money into it to keep the rents low. So I'm just putting it out there that you can't assume that because a lot is there, that it will be big enough for these agencies to come in and put money and people to invest to make it affordable. So I just wanted. Depends on how up they're gonna go, because it might require a ULURP, process to change the zoning, and that in itself is very, very costly, and it takes a very. That's the other.
Thank you. Jared Kaplan had asked a question. What would be considered quorum for the next committee meeting? Do you know when Julio is going to update the committee assignment? I think I said something.
Well, you?
Sorry, okay. So, Jeremy, I'll follow up with Julio because I know there's a bunch of people that are looking to join the housing committee that haven't been assigned officially and are new members. So that might help. Thank you for the math. But, you know, if I could predict the weather. All right, does anyone else have any, I'll just leave it up for open discussion if anybody wants to chime in on anything that they want to bring forth.
Antoinette, I had another comment, but I can wait for others if there's a line of speakers. This is John again.
So I was wondering if we had time to just talk about the second ranked item, which was sending the letter to suspend the, like, if we wanted just to quickly discuss, like, we need it. Okay, so we can't.
Nothing that prevents you from discussing. You can't vote on it.
Okay. Okay, so the first step is to vote whether we want to send the letter. Is that the first step? Or the quorum? Okay. Okay.
Okay, so something is the last thing I want to say for our meeting, if anything. So it is important for us, elections just, it just happen, elections. So it is important for people to have registered to vote and voted for these specific reasons. So this is why we push people to vote, push people to get registered, and for this specific reasons too. I mean, this is one step too, when you guys come to us and talk about what's going on for the community board and stuff in the committee meetings. This is something else that we take up to our council members. But, voting is very important. So I just want to bring that out to everybody else that if whoever voted, thank you guys that whoever voted, registration and everything. Whoever voted, thank God, everybody. You guys voted for whatever reason you got to vote for. But we had to vote for everything. And just one more thing. So for the RGB, for the rent board's guidelines that happened recently too, I know they increased, they voted to increase the rent by one vote, 5 to 4. And so that's something that we don't, for our community board, I know we sent out a letter hopefully, right? I think we did send out, we did definitely send out a letter for Community Board 7 that we wanted a 0% increase in rent. And I know many other supposed other community boards did the same thing, but the rent board's guidelines does their own thing, and what we got to push for is voting for those people, council members, elected officials, to roll that back. And going back to the voting, you guys make sure you guys register to vote. Make sure you guys vote for the people who's gonna protect everybody's wallets and make the better life for everybody. Okay, and I love you, everybody, guys.
During the 9 days of early voting, we barely got 200 people to come in and vote. During the election day on Tuesday, we got about another 200 people that came in to vote. And like Gambino was saying, it's important because this is how you get your council members in to help with the community and fight for the things that we need and want in order to get, all the benefits that we can into the community. So make sure you guys go out and vote and register.
Pat, and then John.
Just a reminder, while Julio is working on putting the committees and getting everyone that wants what they want together, please note that folks can still go to the committee meetings, even if they're not yet a member of that committee. So participation is important, whether you've been assigned or not. And he is working on it, all right, among other things. And as second vice chair, I can confirm that. There are lots of things Julio is working on.
Jeremy, do you have to be a committee member for quorum?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we just mentioned that because.
That's right.
Yeah, no, it's
Oh, really?
right. It's just important. I'm gonna follow up with Julio to see when that could be updated. Just because it'll be important for the housing committee so that we can have quorum. There are a number of board members who are not official committee members who regularly attend meetings, and then there are other folks who haven't. So just to make sure that we're having quorum and folks who want to be in and who are working, that they're accounted for so that we can move forward. But thank you, Pat.
Absolutely.
Was that me, Antoinette?
Yep.
I just wanted to ask, based on this conversation, and you're saying people are going to be added to the committee. Is it possible to add a portion to the next meeting where, after we've discussed land trusts, we have another discussion of other possible priorities to see if there are other priorities that people also want to prioritize during the summer? Could we just add that to the next agenda?
So I'm just trying to focus things. I don't want anyone to think that I'm like trying to dictate anything, but I'm just trying to help move things along. We're gonna have a number of meetings moving forward, and we can talk about if you guys want to meet every 2 weeks for the summer. I mean, there's just a lot, and we have to see like who has capacity to help with planning the logistics for all of these topics. And I think it's important that we set aside time so that we're able to just find out about all of these developments that are happening. But I also want to find a balance that we're working and we're organizing, towards these meetings. So that's just my take for it. I would prefer to have things, to have the meeting set aside for July 12th to help push things along and dedicate the summer for a series on community land trusts, just to keep things focused. And then if we as a committee wanted to set another meeting just for us in between, where we become more familiar with some of the other developments, and then think about, okay, if we wanted to have invite speakers to come in from the Fifth Avenue Committee, from Totem, maybe in September, because, we would also have to reach out to them and see their availability and coordinate for those meetings as well. But I wanted to just have some structure to things instead of just being, I don't know, I just honestly feel very overwhelmed because there's just so many things going on between the hotels and these development. It's just a lot. So this is just a way that I thought it would make sense just to organize things, just to push things along. If folks feel differently, we can scratch all of this and try to revisit things on the meeting on the 12th. I don't feel strongly either way. It's up to us as a committee to decide, but my preference would be just to move forward with the Community Land Trust as the summer series, and then we could pick things up from there. And I'm gonna cap this for like the next 5 minutes because it's close to 8. So if folks wanna just quickly chime in.
So to John's point, and also you're doing a great job, by the way. Just thank you so much for organizing all of this. It's very detailed. So thank you. Just, I wanted to say that to you. That's it. So thank you so much. And also to John, to also touch on John's point was that I think that it's very essential that we do stay focused. And I really do like this. I like the idea that we're going to do the Land Trust as a summer series, but also just to add addition, if everyone does have any additional items they want to add, maybe add it to like a wish list or like another type of like list that we still have that we can still, address, what I mean? If we need to kind of, like if we have a speaker who just says, you know what, I'm sorry, I can't make it that meeting. Guess what? We can pull something from the wish list and maybe fill in that gap and have that discussion as like a backfill so that we can fill that void. That might be a great idea.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yes, that's a yes if you didn't hear it, John.
Sorry, yeah, I agree with what everybody's saying, and I understand focusing the committee. I think that it's a good idea. My concern is that I feel like we didn't actually get a chance to talk to each other about a variety of proposals. I understand that the poll went out, but the poll is not the same thing as a conversation. So I think making time for us to discuss and share information helps people clarify what their priorities are. And so that's what I'm advocating for. It's fine if people want to set a certain goal. I'm just saying each time we meet, wouldn't it be beneficial for us to take some time to just bring up other issues and see if there is mutual interest? And then maybe people will step forward and say, well, I can do the following thing, and we can move forward on multiple things at the same time. I just think having the discussion and contextualizing these things is critical as we try to set priorities and figure out who's doing what. So that's why I'm advocating for that to be added to any agenda, that we're putting together for upcoming meetings.
I would say maybe that twice a month is a great idea because you'll be able to do both. We'll have more time.
Antoinette, can I just make it a suggestion, a very friendly suggestion? I'm listening.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I apologize. What I'm going to do is I'm going to I thank you all for attending tonight. I'm going to adjourn the meeting and I'm going to ask for only the committee members to stay on the line. And that would be myself, Alberto, Leonette, John Johnston, John Santori, and Elise, just to stay on so that the committee can sort of hash out, how we want to move forward.
And that's well and good, and I'm going to get off the line, but I just wanted to just give you just a recommendation. You said, about burning yourself out. Maybe meeting every 2 weeks might be a little bit too much for you. It's summertime, and the board generally doesn't meet during the summer. So maybe you need to take a mental health break and get yourself together. That's just a friendly little suggestion, because what you're doing is a lot, and I commend you for that. All right, so I'm out. Good night, guys, and thank you so much.
And one of them was.
Okay, thank you. If the committee members could stay on the line.
Yeah, no problem.
Hello, Antoinette. Before I leave,
I'm sorry,
last
Eduardo,
year,
we're ending the meeting. I'm asking for the committee members to stay on. If you want to leave your
yeah.
comment on the chat, I can share it with the committee members after. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. But then I just feel that the way that the meeting is just sort of like suddenly
Eduardo,
finishing.
and I apologize, but
Yeah.
we're getting close to
But I
8.
think,
I would
you
like to
know,
have a conversation with the committee members. I hope you can respect that. Thank you.
Yeah, but then I also did invest some time for me to sort of like ask a question that I've been meaning to ask and I've been waiting. And so then the way that the call is
Eduardo,
suddenly
I'm
ending,
sorry. I don't want to do
it
this.
almost seems irrespectful of my time. So I understand. And then, yeah, all right.
Eduardo,
All right.
I'm
I
asking you
just don't think that this is being considerate from my time. And then I think that something like this can be better organized in the future.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah,
Appreciate
sorry.
it. Thank you for your input.
All right, thank you.
No, you could leave yeah, I mean, it's okay. I don't wanna, it's nothing secret. I just wanted to have a conversation just with the folks that are on the committee, because it seems like there's disagreement. We can't really vote on anything because we don't have a quorum, and I don't wanna, I would like to end the meeting by 8. I don't know. I just feel like, not to say that we're not gonna tackle on anything, on all of these items, like, we're gonna be meeting like indefinitely. I just wanted to have just some structure.
Right, there's so many things that you could.
Yeah, they paid really well though, but they trying to kill me listening to them dying. They were trying to kill me softly. Yeah, Antoinette, the only thing I can say is that there's huge housing issues facing the city. Not only land trust, the driving out of the middle class and affordability, but I don't know how we can tackle literally one out of all of them. I mean, it's very hard. And
Right.
we have a real affordability issue, not just with low income, but middle income people in this community. And it's driving everyone out of the city. And I don't know, are we qualified to handle this? We can qualify to advocate for different things, but whether we're qualified to create housing policy is a different story.
Great. So what would be a recommendation that you would propose and how to move forward with meetings?
I think we should look at the, we've already been doing this. We've been asking elected officials to come talk. They create housing policy. Land is one thing, but tax policy overall creates housing issues in this city. The 421A, the J51 rebates, all of these are ones that actually really drive the housing industry in this city, whether apartment buildings or housing. And that's, I think that's something we can advocate better for, is changing tax policy, property tax policy, and condo and co-op policies, because there's less private homeowners and there's more small family and condo and co-op owners in the city and rentals, and they get the burden of the property taxes in the city over at single family homes.
Right.
And that's something I think we could push much easier than creating land trust or other policy issues, other housing issues. It's a great theory in an idea, but you need the money, you need the power, you need the access to the land. Tax policy changes can change by pushing elected officials to do it, and that's how we can create more affordable housing in the city.
Thank you so much. Anyone else on the line would like to comment?
This is Leonette.
Go ahead, Leonette.
Sorry, I was just gonna say that I think, obviously housing is a huge issue and we're never going to be able to tackle everything. I do like the idea of being able to kind of do within the summertime, focusing, like you mentioned, on this one thing, the community land trust, just like education, because I do think that there might be opportunity just to kind of share awareness so that knowing that how long it takes, sharing that awareness with our community, I think would be beneficial. And also knowing that a lot of the topics that were discussed in the survey, and even more right now with John mentioning the tax policy, like that's something that I think would be beneficial for us to be able to leverage the rest of the community board when it's autumn, right? Because there's only so many of us in the committee, and also with the hybrid issue and not being able to meet quorum, I think, and also it's summertime, folks are also going to be on vacation. Like I think being able to kind of like vote on things and take action in the summer is going to be a lot more difficult versus like truly being in the community and raising awareness, and also having the opportunity to ask the community like what is what's going on for them. So my take would be kind of in line with what you've been organizing, Anton, is just to focus on this one thing, raise that awareness, and then move forward in the fall with the other topics at hand when we have the rest of the community board participation.
Thank you, Leanna. John?
My point is just, I heard what people want to do in terms of the priorities. My point is that
John, you're breaking up.
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear anything I'm saying?
Hear you a lot better now. Thank you.
All I'm saying is we just have to talk on a regular basis. People have to be able to present ideas and contextualize those ideas, and then people need to see if there's mutual interest, and then we need to step up to support you. This isn't about you doing 1,000 things. People on the committee need to volunteer and step forward and see if they want to take action.
And that's what we're going to do on the meeting on the spot. But we need to have you bring a lot of great ideas, but we need to, I just feel a little all over the place because it's very overwhelming, everything that's going on. And this affects everyone differently, like my family has been priced out, it's a lot, it's very heavy, and it's just so many different things going on, and it's very overwhelming when you want to tackle everything, and then when you're limited on the board because there's only so much the community board can do, right? We're more of a education advising body, so I mean it is a lot, but I think I don't know, would people be okay with that? Just taking, and I think for the meeting on the 12th, what we'll do is we'll just have folks that are on the housing committee sort of taking lead, and then, just to make sure that we're all, on the same page with planning out this summer, series. I mean, it doesn't have to be all of, I don't know, sorry. So just to go back a little bit, it doesn't have, the community land trust meetings don't have to be a summer series. It could be one town hall or one meeting, and then, we can have other conversations or other meetings on the other agenda, on the other poll items that were brought up, but I just wanted to focus on like the next meeting. And I think that would just be the community land trust. So we'll meet on the 12th. We'll hash out logistics for a community land trust meeting. It doesn't have to be, more than one meeting. If we decide it is, then that's fine. If it's just one meeting, that's fine too. But that's going to be the conversation for the meeting on the 12th. If we want to have another meeting after that, where we talk about, we do a deeper dive on the other topics that were on that poll, we can do that. But I want to focus the meeting on the 12th for meeting planning for the community land trust meeting that we decided to do, just to keep things moving forward. And then, if folks want to meet every 2 weeks, I could work with the community board to put that as a standing meeting through the summer, where we can meet to have conversations. We won't have any votes. If you want to drop in, we can have meetings for an hour and a half every 2 weeks to hash things out and to plan it that way, if folks are open to do that too. Sure.
So when let me formulate my question. When did the rule change that hybrid meetings, you now have to be in person? Who changed that? Oh, what a great way to to help, that's very inconvenient, because you're right, it's to someone's point, I think it was Lynette, it's the summertime, people are gonna, there's barbecues, there's things that people are they're gonna wanna do. And now nothing can be voted on easily because now you have to be in person. So it's just like yet another barrier to overcome, especially in a community that, it's nowadays everyone does everything online. Everything, I pay my bills, everything is done online. Every meeting, every business I ever have is all online. So that's messed up that just changed. I'm just vocalizing that. I apologize. And as much as I would love to meet as often as possible. And also I would volunteer if you need any help. I'm sure that's going to be one of the topics on our committee. If you need any help with anything going forward, please let me know, reach out to me. I'll give you my cell phone number. I think it's very important that we do the best that we can to not only educate our community, but also, to John's point, to keep our communications open between us as well. So I just want to say that.
So that would help, but I recognize that not everyone is always available, but we'll just have standing meetings throughout the summer, and probably in the fall, we'll see how it goes, just to keep the conversation going. And if we need to cancel, we can, but we'll just have them on there. So I'll go ahead and I'll work to schedule just standing meetings through the summer so we can spend. Okay, last comment.
So, for everybody who's listening in, I know, this is some work that we've been hashing out recently. Antoinette Martinez has been working day in and day out to do what she has to do in order for us to get things done. Not, we have a lot of things that we need to get done, right? But, at least we're starting from somewhere. We're starting first where we have to start with. And as soon as we get that done, then we could follow up on whatever else we have to get done. Okay, so it's not like she's putting everything else on the side. She's bringing that all in to wherever, she brought us into this conversation to make sure what is the priority: first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So we make sure we tackle the issues on hand. Things that are more important for us, that's first, second, third, fourth. But anyways, she's been working day in and day out to making sure our community is, doing what we have to do to make sure we get things done. And it's not an easy job. I do appreciate our chairman of the Housing Committee, Antoinette Martinez. She's been she's been a great support system for all of us, putting us together to get everybody involved in the community and us. There's no other chairman, I think, that's been able to get our opinions or our votes to label 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But there's not even 1 through 5. There's 1 through 100. So 1 through 5, 1 through 6, every list that goes down, we make sure that from 1 through 6 is the most important ones that we got to tackle. And she's doing what she got to do to the best of her ability, and we're going to do our best to support her. Okay. And I guess.
To hash things out a little bit more, and then we'll have regular standing meetings, talk about other developments that are happening in the community. Thank you all. If you can attend the meeting on the 12th in person, I hope it's on the 12th. Well, I guess in 2 weeks, in mid-July meeting. If you can attend in person, that would be maybe a little bit easier, at least for the committee members, just so that we could try to hash things out in person a little better. If you can't, that's fine. The room will be a lot easier to navigate through because there's audio, so you probably hear us a lot better from there anyway. But yeah, Thank you all. Have a good night and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Antoinette. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you very much.